House of the Dragon, episode 2 here with Mac Coulter from NIC Partners Inc. So Mac is like really excited. I feel so far it's been more of still of a world building. They showed us some stakes in the first episode. We saw some soon to be stakes in the second episode, and but it's still in the world building. You know, we still haven't
Definitely.
seen like the main plot of this show. Go ahead, Mac.
All right. So when I started Game of Thrones, I watched the first 3 episodes. It was crazy. And then I had to wait for episode 4, and it made me go insane. And so I literally stopped watching Game of Thrones for like years until it finished, and I binged the whole show. And I was so glad I did that because I got to watch all of it at once and I didn't have to wait. And now I'm stuck in this process of waiting after this awesome episode just aired. First of all, remember when I told you about these dragons? This is not like a scary ox. This is a monster beast. When there were 20 dudes and 20 dudes staring at each other, mad at each other, and that dragon pulled up, it was no longer 20 dudes. It was 20 guys, a dragon, and food. And that was it. And then she brought her dragon. That was crazy. It's like the person with the biggest gun and then another person with an even bigger gun coming to the fight. It was a beautiful aspect. I love Daemon Targaryen. I didn't think I would like him this much. But he's really a menace. This is like Black Air Force energy right here. I wouldn't let this guy watch my kids. I wouldn't let this guy water my garden. He is clearly out for blood and will seek. And I mean, I'm waiting for him to really tear the family apart at this point. That's what I'm waiting for. The way Matt Smith has presented this character and the way he's been written, I can only expect him to sunder the world and to split the earth in half. There's nothing why would he? What else would he want to do?
His portrayal of Daemon Targaryen is not like this typical villain that's like, oh, I'm here to kill you. Oh, I'm here to do this and do this. He's like, he's being a tactician, you know, he's building a plan, which is quite interesting. So I feel like I'm waiting for the part of the series where he's gonna like trick someone into doing something, and it's gonna be like so dishonorable, so disgusting that we're gonna like, oh my god, why would you do that? Like, why would you win this way? Because I can relate to obviously many political and historical events. I feel that Daemon Targaryen is this type of villain. He has a big plan, and he's gonna do everything possible to get this plan done, even if it means doing something dishonorable or something highly unexpected.
Yes.
So I'm waiting to see what this
like
thing
marrying
is
marrying his niece. Oh, maybe. That's a prediction of mine. I'm gonna go ahead and put that down right now. I'm gonna go ahead and mark it that Daemon Targaryen marries Rhaenyra, or tries to at some point.
You mentioned that last episode. I told you. I told you I was getting this vibe from their meeting, and then you were like
very strong in Game of Thrones. It is very strong in these old fantasy worlds. I do note that the character Rhaenyra Targaryen has 2 actors. One is Millie Alcott, the Australian. She's a little girl. She's the little girl who plays her now. But there's they have another actor lined up to play Rhaenyra because there's going to be a time skip. And so once I found that out, I was like, oh,
how'd you
no.
know?
Oh, no. Oh, no. What does it mean? What does that mean? A time skip?
It means the father is going to die.
Okay, so.
And I'll tell you how he's going to die. It's going to be his finger.
Dude,
the finger is obviously... The finger obviously has a meaning, like they can just put it out there, like so I feel like he's gonna die because of some infection or something.
I think they're telling us something, but they're not telling us everything. I think they're telling us something about the finger, and I think there's like an analogy to be found here. It's like, oh yeah, either get rid of the digit to save the hand, or you lose the whole hand. But that could just be an analogy. He could very easily just chop the finger off and that'd be done with it. He keeps his hand, or it kills him, and that'd be crazy too. I think the analogy is sound. I think we should be very cautious of his circle. His finger, his little finger is dying. The Hightower, the hand, his last name is Hightower. In Game of Thrones, the character Otto Hightower, his nickname was Littlefinger. I'm not joking. Was a very snake-like individual. He was very secretive, and I had all these back plans and didn't really tell anyone anything. He was kind of a villain, but he wasn't really a villain because he helped heroes a lot. In the House of Dragons, the king, Littlefinger, is like rotting, and his right-hand man, or his hand, is Hightower. It's too on the nose. It's too on the nose. It's too on the nose. I don't trust Otto Hightower. I definitely don't trust his daughter. I remember when you were tripping last time. You were like, why did he give that guy his daughter? Why did he offer that? For this exact reason. Every person in House of Dragons, just like every person in Game of Thrones, is loyal to their house. Don't think of this as people versus people. Think of this as house versus house. Selling my daughter to the king means now I am a part of the royal blood family. So I'm in there. I'm in there. That's all anyone wants. That's all their selfish needs want. Anytime you think they're offering something, they're really looking for something they can get back out of it. Except for this guy. He does not care about any of that. He does not represent the Targaryens. He is in it for Daemon. And we
So
love him for it.
why did this guy give the egg back to Rhaenyra? Is it because he has something towards her, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's clearly it's a plan. He either wanted the king to come there himself, but instead Rhaenyra came and he was like, okay, well, I can work with this. I can work with this. The same way that the Rhaenyra's aunts, the king's cousin and whatnot, and her husband have schemes. The same way the hand has the schemes. Daemon has schemes. I mean, they're selfish and they're self-serving, but they are schemes. Like right now, he didn't have to give this egg back, but he chose to. He could have had a fight right there on the ramparts and had his dragon fight the other dragon and see who wins. That's not his style. He's a lot smarter than that.
So what does this language
This is Valyrian.
shift mean?
This is Valyrian. So it's basically if two native speakers, say like two people speak Spanish, and they're surrounded by a bunch of English speakers. If they are speaking English, everyone's in on the conversation. If they switch to Spanish, though, now they're just having a conversation. Everyone else is kind of excluded from it. And that's all this is. This is just two native speakers using their native tongue and leaving everyone else kind of out of the conversation. That's just the native language of Valyrian. It was.
If you wish to be restored as heir, you'll need to kill me. So do it. And be done with all this bother.
She said, do it. Dude, he's got her. He's got her hooked, and he's got everyone else confused. He's in the power play. He's in the power position right now.
Even us are confused because I still didn't see this. I mean, one can argue that there was no feelings here. Like it's probably like something really, really implied to the point where it can go either way. Because
exactly
that's the only possible explanation. But we still didn't see something that's gonna be like, okay, yes, it's
yes.
Like we're kind of on the shift.
They're implying something, but they haven't told us what it is yet.
Exactly.
So it's really up for us to determine it. But eventually they'll show us, which is going to be crazy.
I want to talk about the girl with the curly hair, like
oh my god,
that scene is so.
Oh, it's so awkward. It makes me so uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I just can't even imagine. The king himself is like, I can't do this, bro. He's like, It's like a little kid, and I mean, this is what they did. This is Game of Thrones 101. You definitely give your eldest daughter to your highest lord and hope that you can get some kids out of it because now your family is hooked up. Remember, these people are house servers. They want to serve their houses. The Valyrians, the Targaryens, they all want to serve their own houses. God, this is so awkward. Why do they do this to us?
It is so awkward. Look like you have some
What did your mother tell you?
50-year-old and then 12-year-old.
That I wouldn't have to bed you until I turned 14.
Oh my god.
And but watch him. He's just like, yeah, very good. Okay, well, look at his face.
I feel even the actor's uncomfortable here.
Bro, he just threw up in his mouth a little bit, bro. He's like, why would you say that to me? She said you won't bed me until I'm 14. He's like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna go. We're gonna cut this meeting short. Oh man, yeah, it's always awful.
I want to talk a little bit about the racial dynamic of the girl specifically, because you see that she's mixed, so her dad is black and her mom is white.
black.
So they have her as like a a tanned woman with curly hair. It's like
Yeah.
how the curly hair is associated with
Me.
ethnic hair.
Me.
That's the whole thing. Because like in my background or in my country, we don't have like curly hair associated with like black people or straight hair
Oh.
associated with
Yeah.
whiter people. It's just like I just look at the color and I see if it's white or black. Because I remember like meeting one of my classmates and he was like, I mean, he's more light than he is dark, okay? But it's because he has curly hair and his father is black, he considers himself black. So I'm like, okay, so black is not like a color, it's more of a ethnic.
Yes.
Yes.
Black in the US is a race, but
Yeah.
it is mostly an ethnicity and a cultural thing.
Exactly. So it was interesting how they gave her curly hair to show her black side. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
that was interesting. It's also interesting because there are no black people in Game of Thrones. The Valerians are nearly all described as very pale and blonde hair and blue eyed and blue and green eyed and whatnot and brown eyed and whatever. But there really are no mentions of dark skinned Targaryens. So this is very clearly just like artist inspiration for the casting and whatnot. Very well done, mind you. I do like the actors. I think they're pretty interesting. But it is noted. I did notice that she had curly hair, and it was actually I'm so used to it because I myself am mixed. My father's black and my mother's white. So I'm mixed. I have curly hair. So I didn't even recognize like, oh, they did give her curly hair because she's mixed. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, I want to talk about obviously the best. I mean, the most interesting scene I feel in the episode, which was when the girl was talking to her aunt, and you can see
her.
the
Dude, her aunt is a schemer. Watch that girl. That old lady has plans. Watch her.
Yeah.
Yes.
What plans?
I mean, so she was supposed to be. She
The
is
queen.
Correct.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be the queen. She was the first. She's the eldest of all her siblings at that age. So I mean, she's never really gotten over that she didn't get the position. Her husband is a Valerian, and they were the other biggest family in Valeria, the entire continent. But they didn't have dragons. They just owned the seas or whatever. So
My father is a king. It is his duty to take a new wife and strengthen his line.
I did not ask for a lesson in politics. I asked whether this bothers you.
Lena is your daughter, princess. Does it bother you?
Of course it does.
she's lying. No, I set her up to it. She's wearing my dress.
I'm not sure you do.
So the aunt want her daughter to marry the guy.
Of course. You think
Okay.
you think only the father did that? But like that's the scheme. She has her husband present the daughter. Obviously, she's privy to it. She then goes and talks to Rhaenyra, trying to gauge her and trying to bring her into her fold. But then she pretends like she's been victimized by this or something like that. Like, oh yeah, I don't want her down there doing that. You know good and well she's down there doing that, and you co-signed on it, bro. Like that's what you want. It is what they want. They're always, I mean, they're gonna tell people one thing and they're gonna turn around and do something else. These people in this show are dramatic. They're political. They think in chess pieces and chess moves. So it's gonna be interesting. And I'm again.
So the way you portray it tells us that it's a very slow build up. How efficient has it been so far? Because I feel like
I don't think it's gonna be a slow
interesting. It's interesting. Oh, you don't think it's slow? Because so far I didn't find it that entertaining, to be honest. Like it's interesting. I want to know what's gonna happen, but was it entertaining?
They will go off. I assume. I think that Game of Thrones had one of the best critiques of Game of Thrones is that the long night with the winter coming, the thing that the entire show has been building up to, lasted one episode. And so that is just a sin in film and in TV and film. I don't know. You can't do that. You can't have something that built up pop and fizzle and be gone. Like that's crazy. Not to say that there wasn't mad action in Game of Thrones. It was full of crazy fight scenes. It has one of the longest continuous fight scenes in TV history. But like they might just do that. People loved the fighting in Game of Thrones. You could literally watch the ratings.
But I'm not speaking from a fighting perspective or from tension perspective. I just feel like we don't really see the story moving forward towards. So we don't see like what's the word, an inciting incident that leads to us knowing how the plot is gonna be, you know? Like,
oh yeah, we already had it. They kicked this guy out. Daemon Targaryen is a menace to society. When they ostracize him and send him to King's Reach or Dragon's Reach, bad move. In the first episode, the inciting incident was they were like, you got to kick him out of here. He's wreaking havoc in the streets. And the King's like, I don't really want to do that because he's going to go crazy. Inciting incident occurred when he's like, all right, you got to get out of here. You can't make fun of my dead child. And he's like, I'll do it anyway.
But if the inciting incident is Matt Smith, then you should give me more of Matt Smith in the episode. Because if you think about it, they spent a lot of time on Alyssa trying to be with the king. Look, I understand everything's important, but everything is telling us something, but it wasn't entertaining. So it wasn't to the point where, okay, I'm going to see what's going to happen.
Matt Smith or Daemon Targaryen is not the super villain with all these powers that the heroes have to build up to go defeat eventually. Instead, he is already just the villain already there. And instead, they're also going to have to determine who their allies and enemies are. Because like, you don't know who's really on your side. How is the guy, the father of the little girl? He's on the king's council, but he's sitting here hosting Daemon Targaryen in his house.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily about can you reach the level of defeating this enemy in this spectrum of good versus evil, but instead, who are even my allies in the first place? Who can I trust? Who are my real enemies? I actually don't even believe that Daemon Targaryen is the final bad guy. I can't. I don't believe that. I think there's more in stock for us. This is the Targaryen Civil War. This is where the House of Targaryen had its last leg and was cast off. So there's definitely gonna be a time jump, which is I've said it earlier, and I mean it just kind of blew my mind when I was putting the pieces together. I was like, oh no, they're gonna just pop forward.
How'd you know? Did you get is it like an analysis or?
It says it in a few places. It says they said they've talked to like the casting or whatever. And the casting like, yeah, there's gonna be a time skip, but also there's the actor for young Rhaenyra and then an older actor to play her as well. So it's gonna be kind of crazy. If I'm not mistaken. I think Viserys Targaryen dies 25 years after his wife dies, and that's like me pulling this out of the book. If this is wrong, I hope I'm wrong so I don't spoil anything, but I literally just remember reading some stuff like this. I was like, I think it's like 25 years after, or 24, something like that, after his wife dies. So it's only been 6 months, which is why I don't necessarily think it's the finger thing. But I do think, but it is very clearly they presented it so heavily, it should not be ignored. They're telling us something. I also think that Daemon Targaryen giving the egg back was also an analogy. What do they do with the eggs? They put them in the crib with the children, so that those children, when they're as they get older, the eggs crack, and that becomes that child's dragon. The dragon he rides and the dragon Rhaenyra drives or rides are their dragons. They were born with those dragons. That's theirs. So our uncle gives our niece an egg. These things are on the nose for me. I read into these things when I'm watching these shows. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm writing this down because I don't want to miss anything. I like to try to decipher what messages are sending us.
So I want to talk a little bit about the visuals. How important are they in a TV show like House of Cards?
Massive. They're
really
massive. Yes, it is so very important to. It's just short form cinema. Cinema should be cinematographic. Or is that the right word?
Cinematographic, maybe.
Our English isn't working right now. It's all right. We'll skip it. It has to be very photogenic. People have to see it and be like, oh wow, it's amazing. It has to be awe-inspiring. It has to intrigue them visually. And so when you have these shots like The Revenant, half the movie is like scenery shots, but they're beautiful. No one's mad about it. Doesn't matter if it extends the runtime so far. What matters is like, are people receiving this? Cinema is a media art form. It is how you deliver something you're trying to present to somebody.
Exactly.
So it's okay.
So how did you feel about it? Like I didn't take it. I wasn't that into it because I'm watching on a small screen. So that's why I'm asking, like, how important are they for a TV show? I felt they don't really add much to it because who owns like a 60-inch TV in their house? I don't think many people do.
I do. I have a pretty big TV in my house. It's pretty huge. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's me. It's me. I have a massive TV in my house. I'm super embarrassed about it. So for visuals in general, I think it's very important. In this show, though, I haven't seen very many crazy visuals.
I mean, mostly dragon stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
But that's
some
like
upside
CGI.
shots.
Yeah. Even like the I mean, they do things like jousting or get into fights, and they do like the skip cuts or whatever, and that's fine. But like they're not killing me with scenery, and it's like, okay, like they can though. They have the time to. These are hour-long episodes. They can get us a couple cool shots of Dragon's Reach or something. Anything really. I agree. I really don't think they're doing a lot with visuals. But I also think it's because, like you said, this is still the beginning episodes. It's literally episode 2 of who knows how many seasons. So like there most likely will be far less building as we go.
I mean, I think the building should have end by now, and we should switch to the main disastrous, interesting plot. Because no, I'm telling you, man. Because so far, like, okay, it's interesting,
That's
but
not gonna happen.
it's interesting, but because if you keep like world building more, I feel like it's just gonna be a money grab, to be honest. Because okay, it's interesting. I'm intrigued. I want to know what's gonna happen, but I don't think you get more than 2 episodes of this slow build up and slow pace of world building that they showed us so far.
Wow, I really don't feel like it's that slow. I feel like I feel
really?
like they have so much to tell us already. They have so much they have to tell us. Like it can't go much faster. Otherwise, then you're flooding your people with mad information. Like imagine if they had gotten to the point, this part right here, where he gave her the egg in episode halfway through episode 1 or in episode at the end of episode 1. Like that's too fast. That's entirely too much information. People will be like, wait, what? What's happening? Like it's they have to pace it right. I think the pacing is very well done. In that they're delivering things very well. I don't think that. I mean, you're right. Like they have to be cautious of just continuing to build, because then nothing really happens, and we're like, wait, what's going to happen? Again, Game of Thrones at you with that stupid war. How frustrating was that? God, how frustrating was that? That was so weird. Who does that? But like, I don't really know if there's like a giant conflict in this series. But I imagine he'll be involved in it somehow. I think it's pretty paced.
So let's finish with talking about the last scene when Daemon Targaryen is sitting with the Valerie head. What's his name? Forgot.
I don't know his first name. Valerian is his last name.
Valerian, yeah. So they're gonna ally towards the king, right?
I think that would be the loosest way you could present that. They will be allies, but like, do you think this is a person with allies?
No.
No, don't trust this person. He's a bad guy. I think that there will be people who will try to take advantage of weaknesses in the crown, or try to become king, or try to get a seat on the high council or something like that, and will ultimately betray somebody important to us. But at the end, will also get betrayed by the person they were working with. This is not someone to trust. This is not. He's a bad person. I think the upcoming enemy, this crab king or whatever they call him, this crab lord, he basically he's a pirate. He's the pirate guy. He like ties his victims to the stakes. He like stakes them to the ground and has crabs eat them while they're all wounded, which is crazy, by the way, which is an insane, horrible way to go, because crabs will eat you. Fun fact: crabs will absolutely eat your body. They will do it. They're eat anything. I think that's obviously the next like big bad villain, and I think the connection between him and the head of the House Valerian is what's going to bring us to that area. Is what's going to get us. That's how you
to the Targaryen civil war.
Yes, and yes. It'll take us to fight the Crab Lord pirate guy, and then their ally. Well, that allyship will then lead into the Targaryen civil war. But again, like I said, the Targaryen civil war is kind of already, like, the inciting incident is this guy. Some people, you could argue that maybe it was Viserys passing over the Rhaenyra's aunt, like him taking over her spot, even though she was the oldest. But like, that's kind of far. That's not necessarily an inciting incident. So it's kind of
all right. We'll see you next week.
gonna be crazy.
Thank you so much, everyone, and see you all in our next review.